To create a recipe in Macro Sync, start on your main dashboard. Click the My Foods icon at the bottom, and remember that before starting to build your recipe, all of the ingredients that you're going to be using need to already exist in the app. You can either have created custom entries by using the food label, and these will be listed under My Foods, or you could have favorited foods that already exist in the app, such as using the Macro Sync branded food list. If you aren't sure how to use either of these features, please refer to the other videos that I've created on how to create custom entries or how to favorite foods in the Macro Sync branded food list. Once all of your ingredients are in the app, you can go ahead to the My Recipe section at the top here and click Create a Recipe. We're going to start by naming our recipe. Under unit type and number of servings, you can just leave those for now because that is actually the weight of the recipe once it's completed or once it has been cooked. So we're just going to leave it for the moment and just go down to add ingredients. I'm going to only add ingredients from the My Favorite section, which I have taken from the Macro Sync branded food list. I'm going to start with strawberry and hit the plus icon to the right of the name. You'll see that under serving size, it says 100 grams. That is because the app automatically defaults to whatever the serving size was when the entry was created. So if you want to weigh out the amount that you're actually putting into your recipe, you're going to need to change the serving size from the 100 grams by clicking that downward arrow and swapping to 1 gram. And then from here, you can weigh the amount that you're putting into your recipe and then put that under the number of servings. If I didn't change the serving size and I left it as 100 grams, the app thinks that I am doing 60 100-gram serving sizes. So that you can see under the calories and macros shows like 2,300 calories, which is a bit absurd and probably not what you're adding to your recipe. So if any of your recipes or any of your ingredients look very odd, it's probably because this default serving size hasn't been changed. So just make sure that you click on serving size and go down to 1 gram instead. And then under number of servings, that's the amount that you've weighed that you are actually putting into your recipe. Once this is completed, I'm going to hit add ingredient. Now I'm going to go to my next item. I'm going to hit blueberries. I'm going to change that default serving size to 1 gram, and I'm going to put in 90 grams of blueberries and add ingredient. Then I'm going to add banana. I'm going to change the default serving size and put in 100 grams of banana, add ingredient. And then the final item I'm going to put in is almond milk. I'm going to hit that plus symbol, change the serving size to 1 gram, and put in 250 grams or 250 milliliters of almond milk. So once I've gotten all of the ingredients that I want to add into my recipe, I'm just going to hit the finish adding ingredients at the bottom. And you will see I'm back to my recipe screen. I have the unit type and number of servings have still been left untouched. And at the bottom under ingredients, it shows each of the ingredients I've added and the amount of each that has been added to this recipe. Under calories and macros, it is going to show the total calories and macros of all of the ingredients that I have added at their serving sizes. Now, at the end, I'm going to either add the amount that the recipe weighs once I've completed it or what it weighs once I've cooked it, because there can be a difference in the weight of a recipe when it's uncooked versus when it's cooked. So just know that under unit type and number of servings, that right there is for the weight or the serving size of the recipe once it has been completed or once it has been cooked. So under unit type, I'm going to select unit. I'm going to put it to grams. Let's say for this recipe, once I've cooked it, it weighs 450 grams. I'm going to hit close and save recipe. Now under my recipes, I can see my recipe. I can see that the total weight of it is 450 grams and that the protein, calories, and fats, or protein, carbs, and fats, as well as calories for the entire recipe is listed there. Now I want to consume some of this recipe and add it to my food journal. So I'm going to click the plus symbol here. I'm going to, if I consume the entire recipe, I can just leave the serving size as 450 grams and the number of servings as 1 because I've consumed the entire thing. I could just select breakfast and add it to my diary using the button at the bottom. But for this recipe, if I'm not consuming the whole amount all at once, or if maybe I've created it, I'm sharing some of it with my family, and I am only eating a portion of it, I'm going to now change the serving size, the same as I did with my ingredients. I'm going to go down to that 1 gram default, and I'm going to type in the amount that I'm consuming. So let's say out of that 450 gram recipe, I consume 250 grams only. I've selected what meal I'm adding it to, and I'm going to hit add to diary. Now I'm back to my recipes screen. I'm going to hit the icon at the bottom that says food diary, and you will see my recipe is listed. You will see that I have consumed 250 grams of it, and the protein, carbs, and fats, as well as the calories, have been adjusted for the amount that I've consumed. Let's say that I made a mistake. I didn't consume this recipe. I can always swipe left and delete it, or I can click on the recipe and I can edit the amount of the serving size that I've consumed. So let's say I went back for more. I ate another 100 grams of my recipe, and now my total servings is at 350 grams. I can update it here. Now, if I want to edit the recipe itself, I go into my foods and my recipes, and I can either swipe left and delete or edit the recipe. So if I click edit, I can change the serving size. I can change the total weight of the recipe or the number of servings. And I can also change, delete, or edit any of the ingredients as well. So once a recipe is saved, if you make this frequently, you could potentially go back and add more or less of something or change the total number of servings without having to start over. If you make any changes, you're going to just hit update recipe and then go from there and add it to your food diary again. And that's how you create a recipe inside of Macro Sync.